Some time ago, a series of articles appeared in National Geographic magazine, which highlighted the discoveries of archaeologists who were able to trace almost exactly the travels of God's people as stated in the early part of the Bible, especially Genesis, Exodus, Deuteronomy. These teams of archaeologists, this is what they did. They were able to unearth these shrines, these altars that God's people built when they stopped and pitched camp under the great leaders like Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and Joseph and Moses and so on. A span of about 600 years. The point I want to make here and emphasize is that God always wanted his people to worship him in public. God wanted his people to worship them and worship him as a community. It was a unique request, a unique covenant, a unique request that God made when he made the covenant with his people. And so by their community worship, they were able to keep their covenant with God. Speaking to the prophet Moses, God said to his people, I will be your God. You will be my people, especially chosen to be a light to the other nations, so that my salvation may reach to the ends of the earth. He wanted his people to be one in worship, to be one in their prayer, so that others would see them as a community of love and the uniqueness of their spirit, so they would be like a shining light, and God's salvation would be made, would reach all the ends of the earth. So public worship, community prayer, was not started by a pope, it was not started by a bishop, not by an imam, not by a rabbi, not by an ayatollah. It was started by God himself. That was his special request of his people. In our tradition, we consider that a divine law. God wants us to worship him publicly. Then, of course, the church tells us how and when and the like. And then, theologians believe that Jesus reiterates this divine law that God gave the Israelites as part of the covenant in the last part of tonight's gospel. Jesus says, everyone who acknowledges me before others, I will acknowledge before my heavenly Father. So when the Israelites came to worship God at these shrines and altars they built, they came for the same reason that we come together for this Mass, why we come together to this church, why we come together to this shrine. First of all, this would be a visible, tangible way for God's people to thank God for all that he had provided for them, and to give of their possessions as an expression of their gratefulness. Sometimes we call the Mass a celebration of the Mass. The Eucharist, translated from the Greek, means thanksgiving. Most of all, we come here to thank God for everything he has done for us, everything he gives to us. We count our blessings. And at these services, too, the people had to be reminded that God was their God, that God made the world, that God owned the world in a sense. It was his world. But they were called to be faithful stewards. They were called to be responsible representatives of God in the world, that they were to take care of the world, especially take care of each other. And that in caring for each other, again, people would see their oneness, and this would, again, help them to be like a shining light in the darkness. At these services, too, people were reminded that, the world belonged to God in such a way that we have to remember that it's so easy for us to as I do, get caught up with creation that we forget about the Creator, you know? So we have to come together to remember. We can't do it on our own all the time. And these gatherings, too, were an occasion for the people to confess their sins, to admit their guilt, to seek mercy, to seek forgiveness, and be reconciled with God and with the people. They had to learn and had to remember that, you know, sin has a social effect. My sin is not just between me and God, this vertical relationship, but it affects the people around me. It has a horizontal effect. That sin can affect the very air we breathe. And this gives us, again, an opportunity to confess our sins and to admit our need for God. And finally, it was a way for God's people to ask Him for His continued care, His continued guidance, His continued grace. So today, we come together for this special Mass, and we ask God to abide in us in a special way, and He does. He comes to us in the Eucharist. He comes to us in His very body and blood. Yesterday, you know, we had the Solemnity to the Sacred Heart, and I read this one meditation. It was really beautiful. It said, God comes to us, the Sacred Heart, to break our hearts, only to open them that He may abide in us. And if we let the Lord come to us and abide in us again, we fulfill our mission here on this earth, that we become like a light, a leaven in the darkness, and we make salvation visible so that God's love, God's message reaches all the ends of the earth.